the bloop bloop. All right, got to get the bloops done before we start the show. Just in case you're curious why I do that, it's because if you don't say bloop, it doesn't work. Joe, Passion Unchained here to help you figure out how to live a passionate life that is custom to you, that you love, that you tap dance out of bed every single morning and enjoy the fuck out of. So, today I'm going to talk about what if your family or your friends or your girlfriend do not like you working for what you're working for, living a passionate life. And maybe the specifics of that, maybe it's like you want to get a girlfriend, or you want to have an open relationship, or you want to have a lot of sex, or you want to make new friends, or you want to find friends who want to go on road trips and your friends don't, and you're finding them and your friends don't like it, or your family doesn't like that, you're not looking for a nice, cozy, comfortable career, and you're looking to follow your passion to, teach people how to twiddle their thumbs really well or something, do courses on that. There are going to be people who don't like what you are doing. I'm going to give some examples of in my life when that happened, and then I'm going to go into what you should do, and what I did, and then what you should do. And I don't like the word should so much, but what would be helpful for you to do in those situations where somebody you're in a relationship with, whether it's a friend or a family member or whatever, they don't like that you're improving or going or moving towards something or working on something, and they want to stop you. It's called crab barrel mentality. So I'm going to talk about, let me reorganize. I have some notes and all right, cool. So the first one I'm going to talk about is actually one that I forgot to put on my notes, but I was at Rutgers, and this was actually the most productive semester of my life, most productive several months of my life. It was the second semester I was in Rutgers. First semester, I joined a lot of clubs, and I was participating in them, and I was apparently really good in those clubs. It's really helpful because in two of the clubs that I participated in, the president was like, hey, I'm leaving. One of them was a staff that just wanted to start the club and see if anyone could take it over. And the other one was a senior who was graduating and moving on. And both of them came up to me and were like, hey, Joe, I want you to take over this club because I've seen your initiative. I love what you do. And I want this club to go on. I'm leaving. Please take over this club. And I was nervous as fuck, but I did that because I wanted that new experience, and I was trying new things and expanding myself, and it was something exciting for me to be president of two clubs at a huge university. It was an amazing experience, super formative. And that presence on campus helped me attract this really amazing girlfriend. Won't say her name. It's weird because first names really you can't really identify first names. So sometimes I say first names, sometimes I don't. I know some YouTubers who don't say first names at all when they try not to identify somebody. I won't say her name. But she was awesome. She was a lifeguard. She was in the Rutgers marching band. She was head of her instrument section. Actually, she became head while we were dating, but she became the head of her instrument section. She was super motivated. We both were young and stupid, and it was kind of a toxic relationship in a lot of ways, but I attracted her because of all the exciting things I was doing. Now, while we were dating, I started to become disillusioned with the idea of college. I didn't really want to be a programmer. I was studying computer science. I didn't really want to be a programmer. I started to realize that as I got deeper into computer programming, I disliked it very much. It was very frustrating to me. And it wasn't frustrating in a way which is this is challenging and exciting, like a lot of creative pursuits are for me. It's like, this is challenging, but I love doing it. It's like, this is challenging and I hate doing it. I actually later got a programming project last year for a month. And at the end of it, I kicked a hole in my door in my bathroom door because I was so frustrated with the project. Not proud of it, but if I'm being honest, that's what I did. So I started to become disillusioned with the path I was going on. I wanted to drop out and take art classes, but then I would have to start all over. I'd have to start college all over. And I had already gotten an associate's degree and gone through a couple of years of schooling. And I would have to start all over because the art school didn't care about liberal arts baseline. They cared about art baseline. And so none of my credits would have counted. Only a few of them would have counted. Only my art electives that I'd taken up to that point would have counted towards an art degree at that college. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to do computer science. That's just completely, why would I do that? Because I'm not going to get a job in computer science. So I'm wasting my time. I want to travel the world while I'm young and then find my own way and then move somewhere and then find my own way there, which is what I did. But in that process, my girlfriend was like, no, like, why are you doing this? Like, you need to stay with college. You need to do this. And like, she kept questioning me. And there were other reasons we broke up, but that was a big reason we broke up because she didn't want me to do what I was doing. And she may have had her reasons. She probably was, under the unfortunate illusion that you need to have a college degree to be successful in life. That's not true. It doesn't necessarily hurt, but it's not worth the price for sure, at least in America where it's not free. And then it's not worth the time and effort and energy in other countries where it is free, depending on your career, of course. There are certain careers where you need to go to college, like a doctor, things like that, lawyer, etc. But there are a lot of careers where you don't. So that was my first experience where somebody close to me was like, no, like, I don't like that you're doing this. You need to stay in college. Like, why would you do this? She was just constantly trying to get me to stop going on the path I was going on. Another experience was a little bit before that, a few years before that. This was when I was overweight and I was a virgin. And I decided to change all of that. I started exercising. I got a wellness mentor who helped me with my diet and my exercise and all my habits, etc. And I started eating well on the direction of my wellness mentor, Dr. Bob Harris. Actually, I have 2 interviews with him on my channel. That I'm really happy about that. Those interviews, they turned out really well. If you search Dr. Bob Harris, you'll find that on my channel, or Dr. Robert Harris. And then I started getting over my fears of talking to girls too. I started talking to girls. I wasn't following like any approach anxiety program, nothing against those. I actually followed one later. I know a lot of guys who have a lot of success with those. I just went for my fears. I just started slowly going over my fears. And if I was nervous, I would like talk to a girl, and then I started to be like, try to say, hey, you're cute. And I started to be more honest with girls about my attraction to them. And eventually I lost my virginity. I was really happy about that. But I had a friend who hated that I was improving. He was really overweight. He smelled bad, and he can constantly put others down. I actually saw some photos of him on Facebook recently, and he hasn't changed. He's still the same guy, and it's really sad to see. But he tried to guilt me into staying stuck in my old patterns. I think he said at one point, like, Joe, like, why are you leaving me? It was a weird thing to say. It was like almost like he was attached to me being who I was, because then he could feel superior and forgive himself for the way he was treating his body and the way he was treating his relationships and his own victimhood. So I was his excuse. And then when I started to improve, he felt threatened because now his own insufficiency became apparent to him. So that's the key here, is that people who put you down, they're not putting you down. They're seeing that they could be better, and that scares them because they've made a lot of decisions based on their assumption, not the fact, but their assumption that they can't do better, that's all they can get. They're not allowed to do more, and the fact that you're doing more threatens that, and threatens all the choices they've made, and they have to face that fact, and that's scary as fuck. So in the end, I cut him off, but he was also a shitty friend, so I didn't feel that guilty. So now I'm going to talk about the crab bucket mentality. I don't know if you've heard about the crab bucket mentality. I have notes here I'm reading off of. I don't know if you've heard about the crab bucket mentality, but if you put a bunch of crabs in a bucket if you put like one crab in a bucket, right, it can climb out. And it's not that hard, especially if the sides of the bucket are if it's like a wooden bucket, or if the side, even if it's not, like they have claws, they can kind of dig into the side and they can climb out. But if you have a few crabs in the bucket, or especially a lot of crabs in the bucket, some of them will try to climb out, and then the ones underneath, I don't know if they're trying to climb out or they're trying to pull them back, but they'll end up pulling the ones that are trying to climb out back into the bucket. And maybe they're trying to do that, but honestly, I think they're just trying to climb out, and just the way that their claws work, it just kind of pulls the ones that are trying to get out back into the bucket. So the idea is, it's like the lowest common denominator idea, where like some people, especially people that victimize themselves, that feel like the world's out to get them, that other people have to change for them to get what they want, that don't take responsibility for their lives and for their goals and for what they want in life, which is a process. If you don't feel like you're there, that's okay. That's something that you get better at over time. But they'll try to make everyone around them only as good as the lowest common denominator, so that the person who's the least good at things, or has the least good life, or like is the most broke or whatever, then everyone has to go down to their level because they don't want to make that person feel jealous. That's the crab bucket mentality. And especially as an Uber driver, I've had several groups of people in my car. And there are some groups of friends in my car. They come into my car and then they just talk. They're just completely like jabbing at their other friends. They're like trying to cut them down a peg. And it's really fucked up. It's like a crab bucket mentality. Like, I have a friend right now who's probably listening to this actually, and he has a girlfriend, and him and his girlfriend, we talk every day, and we call at least once a week. We talk to each other, and he's telling me how awesome his relationship is going. They're having really mature discussions, and they're really lovey-dovey to each other. They have sex a lot. They visit each other a lot, and they have like trips planned, and it just seems like a really cool relationship. And if I was in the crab bucket mentality, I would be cutting them down the peg. I'd be like, no, you should feel jealous. Like, you're spending less time on me. Like, you're missing some of our daily texts because you're hanging out with her. Like, if I was jealous, that's what I would do. Because listen, I'm looking for girls right now. I'm getting over my own insecurities, because a lot of insecurities are coming up, especially because I had, in my childhood, my parents had a really messy divorce. And so I've created a lot of beliefs around that childhood, and those are coming up, and I'm getting over them. But it's a process, and I'm not quite there yet. I mean, I think right now I'm probably there yet, where I could have an amazing relationship like he has, but I don't, and I'm putting myself out there, and it's taking a while. And I could easily be like, yo, friend, fuck you for having what I want. But I'm not, because guess what? It doesn't threaten me that he's having a great life. In fact, it inspires the fuck out of me. Because he can have a life like that, it shows me I can have a life like that. And it says, hey, Joe, like, put yourself out there more. Hey, Joe, take a little more action, because you know that that's available to you, because you see your friend and that's available to him. And you're on the same level as your friend, because you're friends. Like, it would be weird if I'm friends with somebody who, I mean, that's not necessarily super weird, but like, some people are friends with people who are on a completely different level. But in this particular case, me and my friend, we have a lot of similarities. We have a lot of differences, but we have a lot of similarities. And if he can get what he has, I can have what he has for myself. So I'm not intimidated by that. I'm not jealous by that. I see that he has what he wants, and that means that I can have what I want. Now, if you feel jealous, if you see your friends having success and that makes you jealous, doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means that that's where you're at right now, and that's okay. What I would suggest for that is to understand how that affects yourself, not even him or her, not even your friend, but how that affects yourself. Because if you try to cut your friend down a peg, you're also telling yourself, you're reinforcing to yourself that you can't have that. And that's a really bad thing to do for yourself, because that's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you praise your friend and get excited for your friend, even though you might feel jealous. It'll feel wrong to do it. But if you praise your friend, then it's going to show yourself like, hey, like, I know you think that you can't have it, which is why you're feeling jealous, but guess what? You can. And it will start rewriting your mind. So you'll start to slowly believe like, hey, maybe I can get what my friend has because I'm praising him. So maybe that means that I can have it too. If he can have it and I'm happy for him, then I can have it too. And if I can have it, well, then let me try to get it. Let me actually put myself out there, and you'll make that a self-fulfilling prophecy. Henry Ford has been attributed as saying, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. What that means is a lot of the time, your beliefs about what you can do are a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you think you can, you'll put yourself out there, you'll try it, you'll make it happen, and you'll take risks. But if you think you can't, you'll just kind of put haphazard effort out there. You'll put haphazard time and energy into doing it, and you will get haphazard or no results back, and that will reinforce a different kind of spiral. So, if friends, girlfriends, family, etc. are trying to hold you back, use that as evidence that they are feeling jealous, and invest your time and energy into other relationships. If you don't have them, then go socialize, go to meetups, especially around your goals, and network around your goals. So I just read that right off my notes, but I'm going to go dive deeper into that, and then I'll end this. So what I'm saying is if your friends and family and girlfriend or whatever are trying to cut you down a peg, trying to discourage you from your goals, and it's hurting you, then spend less time with them. If it's extreme and not minor, if it's extreme, then consider, obviously you can't really divorce family, but you can divorce family if they're really toxic. I have some family members I don't talk to because they've been very toxic to my life, and I've tried to show them and tried to ask them to change, and they haven't, so I just cut them off. One in particular, I'm going to see at a family event, and I told her explicitly, like, okay, if you're not going to change, then all we're going to have is cordial, polite conversations at family events, and that's it. We're not going to do anything else because you've proven to me that you're toxic to me, that you try to cut me down a peg and manipulate me. So we're not talking anymore. We're just going to have polite conversation, and that's it. Polite, surface level conversation. So that's one thing you can do with family is you can be like, hey, and you don't necessarily even have to be this blunt. I would say being clear is really important. But you're not going to be amazing at this conversation, especially if it's new to you to create boundaries like this. But I was like, hey, like, I really don't like how you tend to manipulate me and try to change the way that I look at the world and change the way that I see things and change the way I process my emotions. Like, it's harmful to me. I would like to have a closer relationship with you, but at this point it's not possible. I need you to change this and have a conversation with me without trying to manipulate me. And the response she had was instantly manipulative. And I was like, okay, well, I can see we're not gonna have a good relationship here. So our relationship has now been, the ceiling of our relationship is polite, surface level, cordial conversations when we meet in groups and nothing else. And I told her that, and I actually blocked her number. And I blocked her on Facebook, and I blocked her on Instagram. So that is super self-assertive, and I did my best. And you don't necessarily have to go that hard because I know that's intimidating for people. But definitely draw boundaries and be clear about what you want, and then be clear about what will happen if you don't get that. And that could be just, hey, like, we're just going to have cordial, surface level, polite conversation, and that's it. You're not going to get any more of me because you're cutting me down a peg. I don't like it. And if it's like a girlfriend and it's extreme and it's not changing, first have conversations with her and try to help her see what's hurting you. If she's like questioning your every move and making you doubt yourself, be like, hey, like, I need you to trust me. This is what I want to do. I need you to be on my side. I don't want you to keep trying to change my mind. Like, I know this is right for me. I need you to be on my side. Then what you could do, if she doesn't change, I would say, if she does change, great, then nothing needed. But if she does change, then be like, if she doesn't change, then be like, then think about breaking up with her. I think it's important because your girlfriend has to be on your side. She has to be supportive to you. And if she's not supportive, then why are you dating her? Why are you putting all your time, energy, and effort into somebody who's not going to be on your side? I dated a girl for 1.5 years who there were times where she was in a mood. She was like just frustrated and down, and she wasn't really aware of it. And she would just kind of leak that emotion at me, and she would get angry at me and just kind of try to cut me down a peg. And whenever she would do that, I'd be like, hey, name. I'm going to call her Sue. Her name's not Sue. I wouldn't date a girl named Sue. No offense to any Sues. It's just a weird name. I'm kidding. I'd date a girl named Sue. But I'd be like, hey, Sue, I really don't like how you're talking to me right now. It's bothering me. It makes me feel really bad about myself. So if you're not going to change, I'll just take you home and we'll hang out another time. And every single time I've done that, she was like, no, wait, like, I'm sorry. I'm just having a bad mood. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Just, don't take it out on me, please. And she's like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. And that happened a few times. That happened like on a somewhat regular basis, but as long as I just drew that boundary, she was like, okay, no problem. I'm sorry. Like, I wasn't aware of it. Let's have a good time together. And so that's one thing you can do, is be like, if somebody's just in a bad mood, be like, hey, let's just not hang out right now then. We'll hang out when you're in a better mood. And sometimes they'll change and they'll be like, okay, I'm sorry. Like, I want to hang out with you. Let me like be present. And sometimes they won't. And then you'll just take them home. And then with friends, it's a similar thing with girlfriends. It's just like, but with friends, it's easier because you don't have to break up with them. You just find more friends. So the more friends that you find, like if your friends are cutting you down a peg, just spend less time with them and find more friends. So there you go. If you like this, subscribe if it's helpful to you. Share it with a friend. And give it a like for the YouTube algorithm to show more people. Also, if you want to become a content creator or like any of the equipment I use, I have it all in the description below with affiliate links. You pay the same. I get a little bit of cut. It helps me create more content, spend more time on this channel. I also have my Whoop strap. Whoop strap, I use it to track my sleep. Sleep is super fucking important. Super fucking important. And that is $30 a month. If you use my code, you get a free first month to try it out. And if you return it in the first month, if you don't like it, you can return it in the first month and that's it. And it's just free. I think you pay $10 for shipping or something. But that is a tool I love. So check it out. But yeah, till next time. Bye.